Just to give you a very brief update from Austin, as everyone knows, the legislature is in session, so I hope you're guarding your property and your wallets closely, and your individual liberties too, because we have we have a lot of crazy ideas being talked about down in Austin right now. But we're very early on in the session. Obviously, we just finished the first couple of weeks, so it's been mainly pomp and circumstance so far, with the legislature being sworn in, and then of course the inauguration of the governor, lieutenant governor, the other day. But I'll tell you that I'm beginning of any session. I think we're all hopeful. Those of us in the legislature, we're hopeful that some good things will come out of this session, and this one's no different. I hope we'll be able to accomplish some important things for our state. But I do have serious concerns about the direction that some of our new leaders and some of our new elected officials, some of them being from right here in Tarrant County, are proposing, whether those are further infringements on women's health and liberties, or whether it's further cuts to public education or private school voucher schemes, or gun laws that I don't think we need. There's a lot of really I think extreme ideas being proposed in Austin right now. But I say that to say that I think that Democrats in the legislature, although we are outnumbered, are fairly unified in working together to do what we can to stop or slow down or mitigate some of these bad ideas that Republicans are going to propose. At the same time, we are going to continue to fight together to say that our students, 5 million students in the state of Texas, deserve to have good quality public schools, and that's why we need to completely 100% restore the funding that Republicans cut in 2011. That we need to see that in a state where 1 out of every 4 Texans is uninsured and has no access to health care, that we do expand Medicaid in this state and draw down $1 billion a year to do that of our tax money, and that we continue to work, and we will work with our Republican friends when they're serious about addressing challenges in our state. Work with them to improve our transportation infrastructure, improve our water infrastructure, and so forth. I will tell you very briefly, some of you were at my District 101 summit, kind of a similar format to this actually, earlier in May of 2014. I and my office are continuing to work on the issues that we really identified as priorities for Arlington and Grand Prairie, those of you from Arlington, Grand Prairie area. And those include access to health care, because we have a lot of people who don't have access to health care in our community. Includes creating better paying jobs and more economic development, particularly in the more depressed parts of our district. It includes reforming the payday lending industry, which has way too much power in Austin, unfortunately. And fourth, trying to figure out a way to provide real public transportation for people in Arlington and Grand Prairie. Arlington is the largest city in the country without any mass transit at all, and that's something that we're not going to fix it overnight, but we have to start seriously working at coming up with a solution there. So I am continuing to focus on those things for our district, and also on health care. Just to let you know, this week I filed 2 bills to create a state insurance exchange in the state of Texas. As everybody knows, not only did Texas not expand Medicaid, but we have not created our own state exchange, and any Texans enrolling in health care in the marketplace are doing so in the federal exchange. And actually that's working fine right now. If everyone's able to stay in the federal exchange and get the tax credits, there's actually no huge reason to have a state exchange. But later this spring, the U.S. Supreme Court is going to hear a case that basically that the D.C. District Court has already ruled, and the District Court's ruling has said that Americans who are enrolling in health insurance in the federal exchange are not eligible for the tax credits for the federal government. That the way Congress wrote the law, that the only way you can get a tax credit is if you enrolled and got a health plan through a state exchange. Obviously, the administration disagrees with that interpretation, and it's going to the Supreme Court, and I hope the administration is successful, and that the Supreme Court rules no, if you're in any exchange, state or federal, you get a tax credit. But in Texas, we need to be smart about this and say, okay, if the Supreme Court rules in June, after we're out of session, that no, you can only get a tax credit if you're in a state exchange, that means that the 700 some odd thousand Texans who last year signed up in the marketplace are going to see a massive tax increase on their federal income taxes. And that doesn't even count the probably double that number who will have enrolled by the time this enrollment period ends, which, by the way, is February 15th. So if you know someone who doesn't have health insurance, they need to enroll in the marketplace by February 15th. So the argument I'm going to make to our Republican friends is, unless you want to see hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of Texans see a massive tax increase, we need to pass this bill so that Texans are covered regardless of what the Supreme Court decides. And so I'll be continuing to work on that throughout the legislative session. We'll keep you posted on that. But those are a few of the issues that I'll be working on, that other Democrats in Austin will be working on. You've got a great Tarrant County Democratic delegation down there with Ramon Romero and Nicole Collier and myself, and we're going to continue to work with our Democratic colleagues from across the state to advance the interests of all Texans, and that's what we'll